Warning, this video contains extremely minor spoilers of various shows. Many stories in anime feature characters that don't speak Japanese. If the story takes place in a foreign land where everyone speaks the same language, it's natural to let the audience assume that they're speaking their native language despite what they may be hearing. However, when you write a story where there are multiple languages involved, how do you convey another language and still have it be understood by the audience? A common plot device in anime is a situation where a foreigner comes to Japan or vice versa. This particular situation has the most varied ways of dealing with the language barrier. The first one being that the character speaks fluent or at least mostly fluent Japanese or whatever the common language is supposed to be. These characters are often personified by throwing out one-liners in English or any other language that fits the story. This allows the characters to fully communicate with each other and easily conveys the story to the audience. Another solution for this situation is that the character speaks another language, but it is completely incomprehensible whether the language is real or not. Most of the time, this is for comedic purposes, but it can fill a more dramatic role, such as in Susei no Gargantia. When Leto, the main character, first arrives on the Gargantia, he does not speak the language of the inhabitants, which leads to a lot of tension early on in the story. My favorite way of handling this issue is that if a character speaks another language, let them actually speak that language with proper voice acting. Subtitles optional. Without the subtitles, the audience would feel the same level of disorientation that the character would feel listening to this person, such as in Tari. And with the subtitles, the voice acting can be very authentic but still convey meaning to the audience 100% of the time. Depending on what angle the story is going for, either option will have maximum effect. In Grisaia no Rakuen, there is an arc that is all about Yuji, the main character of the series, and his past in the American military. At first, it seems to be taken for granted that they're in America, even though everyone is speaking Japanese. But then a new character is introduced, playing an arrow game, as he shouts actual English words at the screen. The characters in the room all wonder what language he is speaking when Yuji proposes, maybe it's Japanese. This lets the audience infer that the languages were effectively switched for practical purposes, so when the characters were speaking Japanese during this arc, it's implied that they were actually speaking English and vice versa. I found this line to be particularly comedic and ironic how it seemed to poke fun at this very topic. I recently picked up Croisee in a foreign labyrinth, which has the worst approach to the subject I have ever seen. Croisee is a historical slice of life following a young Japanese girl, Yune, who has gone to Paris to become an apprentice. At the very beginning, it is shown that even though the characters are speaking Japanese, they are assumed to be speaking French, and that Yune cannot understand them, despite the fact that she also speaks her lines in Japanese. Before even the first episode comes to a close, it is revealed that Yune can actually understand and speak French, which is still actually voiced in Japanese. My problem with this show is that not only can you never know if someone is supposed to be speaking French or Japanese, but that it is really inconsistent in how it handles the language barrier. A particular scene comes to mind where Yune is asking Claude, her caretaker, what different foods in the market are called. And he answers her in a mix of adopted English words and authentic French. I don't understand what possessed them to do it like this, but for a show whose major theme is to highlight cultural differences, they didn't seem to try very hard when it came to the language barrier, which led me to proposing this topic to you.